Yep, it's CR500 Walkaround time. A bunch of you guys have been asking for this video, so here it is. This is my CR500. Had this bike for about a year now, and I thought I'd talk about it a little bit. So the first thing, obviously, is that engine. That's what it's all about.
It's not enough. Oh, man. My darling, I can't get enough of your love, man.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, so that is the infamous, I suppose you could say, or legendary CR500 mill in there, which makes a really ridiculous amount of power in a bike that, by today's standards, is pretty heavy, but certainly in the early 90s, late 80s, this thing was just from another planet. Still my favorite dirt bike by quite a bit. That may change, but I doubt it. Anyway, the obvious stuff that's done to it, which I haven't really featured very much, is the graphics. I made these at Motocal. They have a lot of this stuff in stock with like the vintage manufacturer logos and whatnot. I didn't want to go with the new logos on it because, well, it's a vintage dirt bike, that's what it is, so I want it to be a bit silly with it. Also the actually middle 90s CR graphics that are kind of mashed up with the Honda wing. I just thought that kind of looked kind of cool. On the front, my Leon Loco logo. Try saying that 5 times fast. And on the back there is a disapproving lion. Some people have asked me, is this the cowardly lion? No, this is the 2-stroke lion, and he's making that expression because probably there's a 4-stroke next to him, and he's like, yeah. So that is why that is there. Plus, why not? And on the back, leonloco.com, check it out, sign up if you haven't. A bunch of interesting content that you don't get on YouTube on that site. Same deal on the other side, pretty much. And one thing pretty much everyone in the world asks me about is where I got this seat cover. This is actually a CRF seat cover. It's from a CRF450, I think like a 2005 or something like that. I found it on Amazon. It's just a generic seat cover which fits pretty well, even though the CR500 seat foam is substantially different than the CRF. It's a lot thicker, especially in the back, but you massage it a little bit, you hit it with some hammers, it will more or less work out. And way better than the stock horrible vinyl covered foam. You can actually stay planted on this thing when it's trying to throw you off of it, which is a nice feature. Other stuff I've done, I painted the wheels. You know, they were just Bogo standard. I think they're did wheels. I could be wrong. And the little stripes there are just because. If you look really closely, you will note that is where the valve stems are, and that's just a really easy way of locating them. And I add the other little things just because why not? I had some paint. I also powder coated the foot pegs red for no particular reason. Again, I was powder coating something else that color, and I said, hey, you know what? My foot pegs are rusty and stupid looking, so powder coat time. A little bit of grip tape on the frame. You can see it's already starting to wear through there. That is because this area of the steel frame CR500s, it wears the paint off almost immediately and then starts to rust. So I did paint the frame and the subframe just after I first got the bike, and that's just an effort to keep that looking halfway decent. Some people think this is the stock pipe on it. It's not. It's a Pro Taper. It's just painted and kind of beat to hell, but does the job for now. And it has the vintage logo Pro Taper stinger on it, so that's kind of neat. Brake is stock. I took the silly plastic disc guard off of there. I just thought it looked kind of stupid and isn't really, you know, they were a thing back in the 80s and 90s, but I don't really see the benefit to it, so I just took it off. And here is the best mod ever, the decompressor valve that actually makes it reasonably plausible to start the damn thing, especially when it's hot. If you start one of these without a decompressor, well, I'd love to know what kind of drugs you're on, but doesn't work for me. So still a stock carb. Unfortunately, I'm going to get rid of this probably this season. Throw Electron on there. I mean, it works all right. The bike runs really well when it's hot, when it's, you know, when it's happy essentially, but it's just such a bitch to get going in all kinds of weird criteria. And a friend of mine has a CR500, he has Electron on it. It starts instantly in pretty much all cases, so that's gonna happen. Not a whole lot else done to it. That's a new chain because the one that was on it was gacked when I bought it. New rear tire, which is already getting chewed to pieces. You can see here the power this thing makes just grinds the lugs off almost immediately. If it'll focus. Yeah, so newish tire. Put this on last year, but it's already pretty gacked. You can see it's chunking the front of the knobs pretty good just because this thing makes so much power. Got the Pro Taper bar on it. This is a mid-rise, I think. The stock bar is just, you know, this fairly uncomfortable big chunk of metal that I wasn't really thrilled with, so threw that on there. The astute among you will notice this is a Kawasaki kill switch. The reason being, I hate Honda kill switches on the dirt bikes, the big rubber thingy. They always break. I mean, any kind of side loading, if you hit it sideways on the Honda ones, they just snap the lever off and then you can't easily shut the bike off, and that sucks. Whereas these ones are much sturdier, so that's why I tend to use them. I have the same one on my CRF and a few other bikes. Other than that, she's pretty stock. These are the I forget who makes these, I'll put it in the video, but they're the Kevlar reinforced grips. I have these on my Aprilia RXV as well, and I quite like them. They're just grippy enough to not, you know, lose your hand off the bike if you're doing a wheelie or something, but not so much that your glove will stick to it, which is in some cases much worse than having it slip out. One thing I did leave on was the rear disc guard for no particular reason. The top one's largely unnecessary, but the bottom one, if anything's going to hit any brake parts, it will be that, so I just kind of left that on. I've also got these little axle sliders I made just because I didn't like the axle getting all full of gack and dirt and crap. And plus, if I ever do throw this thing down on pavement, which is pretty unlikely, but if I do, it's going to keep it from grinding off the axle nut. And of course, it has the usual Kickstarter hitting the rear brake lever and generally beating the crap out of it, because you do kick this thing an awful lot trying to start it. At least mine does. I know everyone says, yeah, there's this whole ritual to starting the bike. Yeah, I know the ritual. I have my own ritual, which I think actually works better, which I'll get into a little bit. But it's still a bitch to start. Even with the decompression, even with the gap on the stator set just perfectly, new plug, new everything, you name it, it's still a bitch to start. It's worth it once you get it going, but it does suck to start this thing still. I'm hoping the Electron will fix that. Forks are stock-ish. I rebuilt them and put better valves in them, but it's still the very early upside down forks. But they work a lot better than the right side up forks that the earlier bikes came with. I mean, they don't, they're not as squishy under braking, but still pretty terrible compared to like my factory connection setup on the CRF. But you know, for a bike built in the very early 90s, entirely compliant. I do kind of like, I mean, I know I complain about it being heavy, but I do like the steel frame, honestly. It's strong, it takes a beating. I think it looks kind of cool, and it just fits the bike. I mean, I know when I first did my first videos on this bike, a lot of guys were, "No, don't turn it into an AF, don't chop it up." I'm not. It's going to stay a steel frame, don't worry. But yeah, that is the CR500, and my favorite dirt bike, by a lot. And I'm going to be riding it a lot more this year when the weather isn't quite as terrible as it is today. Poppity bang bang. So that is the CR500 in all its glory. Quite a lot of fun once you get it going. And I hope I can fix that this year, because really the only thing I don't like about the bike is that it is a complete, absolute bitch to start. Other than that, I love it.
Hey, you like my channel? Well, hit the subscribe button, and I'll do more wheelies.